Travel is a privilege. It's incredibly important to acknowledge this, to know that for myself, being a young, white man with an American passport and enough money to take off so much time and travel is beyond privilege. And to ignore that or to say that it isn't true, I would have to be absolutely ignorant. If any of these things were not true, then it would be significantly harder or maybe impossible for me to have visited every single country. Though these aren't decisions that I've made, the benefits that they give me are absolutely not fair. These benefits are consequential of a patriarchal and classist society that creates and perpetuates hierarchies and forces us to disconnect from one another. The effect is that the glories are given to only a few, and hardships are put on the many. So why do I want to make a video about privilege? I want to show that privilege should be acknowledged. I want to show that privilege should motivate us to help others to benefit from the same privileges. And I want to show that not having some privileges should not get in the way of you experiencing travel. I want to make an effort to recognize my identities and the way that they have paved the path that I walk on. I really think that to have seen so much of the world is such a blessing, and to not share that with other people would be an injustice. Because in traveling the world and meeting people of so many different identities, I've learned about how similar we are as humans. About how, regardless of the hierarchies, regardless of the haves or the have-nots, we all share something incredibly beautiful, which is our humanity. We can all connect on this, and we can all find similarities with one another. And when you learn to find those similarities, you gain, because you understand that there is another part of the human experience that goes beyond your own lived experience. By understanding how many lives are lived around the world, you get a better sense of what humanity really is. You get a better sense of where you are in those hierarchies, and you get a better sense of how you're able to fight to try and end these. When you have privilege, you need to be appreciative and you need to be motivated. You need to be appreciative of all that you gain from these privileges. And we all have some privileges in some way or the other at different points in our lives, whether it's because of our age, because of our family name, because of where we're from, because of the money that we have. Everybody has some benefits in their lives, and that should motivate us to want to extend those benefits to others so that all may benefit. You're always learning more about the way that culture is structured and the place that you have within that structure. Whenever you're in a new environment, you might not be aware of a privilege that you were given, or you might not be aware of a privilege that has been taken away from you by entering into that society. And that's a very interesting thing about travel. How do my identities dictate the experience that I'm having in both a negative and in a positive way? It also then is important to think about how others are interacting with us, the way that we can treat others so that they only see the benefits of that, that we are not excluding them or judging them based on any of their identities or privileges that they might have. Why privilege is so interesting and so important to talk about and to acknowledge is because these power structures really dictate our world, and they dictate what we're allowed access to and what we are excluded from. And excluding people from opportunities to learn about humanity and to promote this disconnect between people is so harmful, because that's the exact opposite of the glories of everyone coming together. What we can learn, how we can gain from each other. We can always do better by working together and loving one another. And we can also love Lavallo. Here's why not having privileges, not having the money, not having the right passport doesn't have to get in the way of you traveling. Maybe it'll get in the way of you traveling to every country because some passports aren't allowed to enter some countries. Or maybe without the money, it's impossible to go to every country. Or maybe because of some of your social identities, you're less interested in being in a place where it might be dangerous for you to be there. But travel isn't going to every single country in the world. Of course, I enjoyed it. It was a goal of mine. But that doesn't mean that I would ever recommend it to anybody else. It depends on what your goals are, what your interests are. But I would recommend that everybody travel, because travel is about learning. It's about connecting with people who are different from you, about seeing things that you have never seen before, and about learning what you didn't know you didn't know. It's about opening your eyes. It's about seeing the world in a different way. It's easy to do that in a foreign country because everything is new, but you can also be traveling in your own hometown or your own country. You can travel anywhere because it's really about just going out and looking for the new, having a new experience, living your day a little bit differently than you've ever lived it before. Identity is both about the way that we view ourselves, but also the way that we're viewed by the world. And you have to be aware that you can't understand anybody's complete experience. You can't know everything about them. They might not even know everything about them. You can't assume with others that you know what they've been through, the hardships that they've had or haven't had. You might not know about somebody's mental health, what they've had at home. So don't ever assume that just because the cover is glossy, that means that everything is going well for them either. So it's not just my honor to share my stories with you, but I feel like it's requisite. I feel like it's important to take the privileges that I've had to be able to see so much of the world and to share with others what I've learned from that, to have these conversations, because it's not just me saying what I've learned, but it's continuing to learn by engaging with you guys. Because the learning never stops, and the learning is for all of us. And I think having the privilege to have been able to go through this journey, to being able to learn all of these things, it makes me want to go and learn more, to understand these hierarchies further, to see the way that the world works, the way that it doesn't work, the way that the world benefits some and the way that the world harms others. It's an incredibly important part of the social fabric of the way that our humanity exists, the way that we have hierarchies, the way that we put down others, the way that we lift some up, the voices that we listen to and those that we silence. For me, it's been the biggest takeaway in my travels to every country, to understand the way that the manifestation of different identities in different locations or in different cultures causes benefits or harm to come to people who identify in those ways. All of this then is very motivating, not only to share with you guys so that we can together learn about things from all over the world, but also in the work that I do, trying to promote a shared human identity, a global outlook, the connections that we have between others. Because this is a topic that I'm constantly thinking about, that I'm always discussing with my friends and people who I look up to. I would love to continue and have this conversation with you guys, so comment down below, follow me on Instagram, and write on the post there, subscribe here on YouTube, see more of my things, and always let's keep learning together. Teach me, and yeah, we'll make a better future, God willing, together. Being a white man with an American passport and enough money to travel. It's like so hard to think about, like, how do you say that without being like, I'm an asshole? Is because, well, that's getting way too philosophical. Like, that's not gonna work. Yeah, okay, I'll just do like